will never vanish. It'll forever be with me. And I think I saw somewhere the sorrow is a reminder of how much just feel like, I did something good in life with him. He was meant to grow old to watch his daughter, graduate, to hold her hand when she got married, to smile that same gentle smile we all grew up seeing on our TV screens. But instead, Malcolm Jamal Warner returned home in a coffin. And the truth about how it occurred has been buried beneath lies, money, and silence. The last time the world saw him, he was laughing, a blossom in his hair, gifted by his little girl. For her birthday, there's always a reason to grin, he said. Hours later, that grin was gone forever. Officials labeled it a drowning. They claimed his daughter wasn't even in the water. But witnesses, people who were present, swear they saw him, struggling for her life against a lethal current, a father's last battle, a hero's farewell. So why did the authorities remove that part of the account? And why within 24 hours of his death did his wife allegedly transfer over $12 million in assets into her own name, deny his daughter one final goodbye, and block any autopsy from being performed? Then came Regina King, the woman he once cherished, stepping into the silence. She didn't rage, she didn't accuse, but in her grief, in her gaze, the world saw something more, something heavier. Because Malcolm wasn't just an actor. He was a man with files, secrets called Theopiles, and an email that read, "If anything happens to me, no, it wasn't an accident." So now the question isn't how he perished, it's why. And who ensured the truth? Drowned with him. They called it an accident. A current too powerful. A tragic slip on a sunny day in paradise. But that's not the tale you'll hear here. Because if you've been paying attention, you know this is something else. July 20th, 2025, Cockles Beach, Costa Rica. The sky was bright. The water glistened gold under the afternoon sun. And on the shore stood a man we believed we'd have forever. Malcolm Jamal Warner, actor, father, companion, fighter. The smile that lit up homes across America. The man who matured before our eyes on The Cosby Show. That morning, he recorded a short video. A bloom tucked behind his ear. A gift from his daughter for her birthday. His laugh was easy, warm. "There's always a reason to grin," he said into the camera. Hours later, his body was pulled from the surf. The official account was clean, quick, and cold. He drowned. His daughter wasn't in the sea. End of story. But witnesses, they reveal something completely different. One surfer insists he saw the girl trapped in the current, her small arms flailing against the pull of the sea. Malcolm dove in after her, battling the water with everything he possessed. Another man claims the Red Cross aided the girl on the shore. He says Malcolm's face was ashen, his breathing uneven when they tried to resuscitate him. So why would the authorities remove that part? Why act like his daughter was never in peril? Because heroes disrupt narratives. And if Malcolm died rescuing his child, people would start posing questions they don't want answered. The first warning sign appeared less than 24 hours after his passing. While the world reeled from the news, while fans shared tributes and old footage, while his daughter wept herself to sleep, his wife allegedly contacted her attorney. Not for a funeral, not to arrange services, but to alter the beneficiary of his $12 million fortune. By the following day, the assets were hers. Allegedly, she refused the daughter one final farewell. Allegedly, she pressed for immediate cremation. No autopsy, no inspection, no time for the truth to emerge. That doesn't send shivers down your spine? It should. And then Regina King stepped in. For those who don't know, Regina wasn't just a companion. She was the love. Two icons of Black Hollywood. Two lives connected. People rejoiced when they got together. It felt like destiny until one Valentine's Day when fate twisted the knife. Out of nowhere, Malcolm ended it. Gina said she was stunned. One moment they were building a life, The next, she was told to leave the home she shared with him and her son. No explanation, no closure. A year later, heartbreak struck Regina's life in a way no parent should ever face. Her only son took his own life. She once said, "Grief is love with nowhere to go." So when news of Malcolm's death spread, everyone wondered, would she speak? She did, but not what people expected. She posted a photo of him on his motorbike. People leave a lasting mark, not just for who they were, but for the energy they carried, she wrote. Then another ride in power. It wasn't furious, it wasn't resentful, but behind those words was a shadow, uncertainty, a weight only she seemed to bear. Because here's where the story moves from tragedy to something far darker. In the months leading up to his death, Malcolm had been working on something he called theopiles. Nobody knew exactly what it was until a confidential email leaked, allegedly sent to a reporter friend. It described an encrypted folder concealed and guarded. Inside, Malcolm insisted, records and proof that could alter the way we view some of the most influential names in entertainment. The email ended with a phrase that now haunts everyone who's read it. "If anything happens to me, no, it wasn't an accident." Read that again. "If anything happens to me, no, it wasn't an accident." Suddenly, the drowning doesn't appear like a drowning. The contradictions don't seem like mistakes. And the wife's supposed rush to secure millions doesn't seem like grief. Seems like motive. The police chief in charge wasn't even present at the scene when the first statement went out. But still the agency doubled down. The daughter wasn't in the water. Witnesses were urged not to talk to the press. Lifeguards weren't present at a beach notorious for dangerous currents and rescue resources allegedly redirected to another site. Too many coincidences, too many silences. Too much truth trapped away under the tide. Fans began connecting the dots. Reddit discussions erupted. Hashtags trended in everywhere. One word kept surfacing: theopiles. Some say it involves celebrity, scandals. Others murmur about politicians. A few assert it reached beyond Hollywood into the realms of billionaires and worldwide influence. Whatever it was, Malcolm wanted it revealed, and now he's gone. The parallels to other accidental deaths are chilling. A public figure with a spotless image, a sudden tragedy, a hurried funeral, conflicting witness accounts, and always, always a file, a folder, a secret. Regina King may never tell us exactly what she believes happened. Maybe she's shielding herself. Maybe she's shielding someone else. Or maybe she's waiting for the right moment to speak. But her silence is heavy, and the world can feel it. Oh, what happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner on that beach? Oh, why was the truth erased clean before the tide even went out? And what exactly was in those files that made him send that warning to a friend? One thing is certain: the people who want this hidden are counting on us to forget. But we won't, because the waves might have taken his body, but they didn't take the questions. They didn't take the suspicion. They sure as hell didn't take the fight for truth. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The first 48 hours after Malcolm's death were a haze. A haze for his fans, a haze for his friends. But for certain people, in his inner circle, it was a race. Not to mourn, not to process, but to lock down the narrative before the truth could slip through the cracks. Within hours, official statements were circulating everywhere, all repeating the same thing word for word. Accidental drowning. Daughter not in the water. Strong current. No foul play suspected. It was too tidy, too polished, and far too fast. And if you've ever followed a genuine tragedy, you know that's not how it happens. Eyewitness accounts are chaotic. Timelines are uncertain. Stories take time to piece together. But here, it felt like this script had been planned before the waves, even settled. Meanwhile, those who were present say a completely different story unfolded. A lifeguard speaking off the record said he saw the terror in Malcolm's eyes when he realized his daughter was in danger. He didn't pause. The man whispered he just went for her. That current was vicious, but he fought it. He fought for her. Another witness insists that after they pulled Malcolm onto the shore, CPR wasn't immediate. It was delayed. Why? Because according to him, there was confusion over protocol and who had authority on site. Those lost moments could have been the difference between life and death. But those details never reached the news. They never even appeared in the police report. Instead, what did make it into the headlines was a carefully crafted picture of a father who made a simple mistake in calm waters. No danger, no heroism, no questions. And while that image was being printed in newspapers, Malcolm's wife was allegedly making calls. Calls to attorneys, calls to bankers, calls to ensure that when the dust settled, she was in control. We're talking about $12 million in property, investments, and royalties. Money that was meant to secure his daughter's future. But within a day, the paperwork was already moving. And then came the most chilling part, the sudden forceful push for cremation. No autopsy, no toxicology, no chance for anyone to examine the body for evidence of struggle, injury, or anything that didn't fit the accidental drowning story. Ask yourself why. Why would a grieving spouse not want every possible answer about what happened to the person they cherished? Why the rush? To turn a human life into ashes before the truth could be revealed. The answer, according to some, is simple. Ashes don't speak. But there was one person who did speak. From the sidelines, Regina King posted her tribute. No names, no accusations, but every syllable dripped with something unspoken. Those who know her say she's not the type to speak publicly unless it counts. And this mattered. Behind closed doors, sources allege Regina had been aware, at least in part, of what Malcolm had been working on. The folder Theophiles, the files that, according to that leaked email, contained proof about some of the most prominent names in entertainment and politics. And here's where it gets even darker. The name Theophiles wasn't random. Insiders believe it's a twist on Theo Malcolm's famous character and files, as in the secrets he'd uncovered. A way to mask his investigation in plain sight under something only devoted fans might recognize. But what was in those files? That's the question that's been burning through online forums for weeks. Some claim it was evidence of financial crimes involving Hollywood studios. Others insist it connected certain celebrities to offshore accounts used for darker purposes. And the most extreme theory? That it contained private communications tying multiple high-profile figures to a cover-up, stretching back decades. Malcolm, according to people close to him, was becoming more withdrawn in his final months. He spoke less in interviews, posted cryptic updates, and when asked about certain topics, he'd smile but refuse to respond. One friend recalls him, saying there are some things you can unknow. And once you know them, you either carry them or you share them. But sharing comes with a price. And for Malcolm, that price may have been his life. Because just days before his trip to Costa Rica, he allegedly told a confidant that he had something ready to release and that once it's out, it's out. No one can bury it. He never got the chance. And here's where the story turns from suspicious to sinister. In the week after his death, multiple people linked to him reported being approached by officials asking about his laptop, his phone, and his personal hard drives. Not police, not FBI, just officials. Unnamed, unbadged, persistent. His wife claimed she couldn't locate the laptop. The phone wiped, the hard drives gone. Convenient, isn't it? But if you've ever tried to erase a digital footprint, you know something always lingers. And according to one anonymous source, Malcolm may have left a failsafe, a trail, an off-site backup somewhere no one's thought to check yet. If that's true, and if those files emerge, this story won't just be about a tragic drowning. It'll be about a takedown, calculated, targeted silencing of a man who got too close to the wrong truths. And that's why the fight for hashtag justice for Malcolm isn't just emotional, it's vital. Because if someone can erase him, they can erase anyone. This isn't the first time we've seen the paternal well-loved figure. A sudden accidental death, immediate moves to secure finances, and always whispers of something they were about to reveal. The internet remembers, and it's not letting go. On Twitter, people are sharing old clips of Malcolm speaking in interviews about injustice, corruption, and stories that never see daylight. On Reddit, users are compiling timelines, cross-referencing the official reports with eyewitness statements. And on TikTok, videos of his final birthday moment with his daughter are going viral. Not just because it's sweet, but because everyone knows what came next. A smile, a flower, a reason to live, and then nothing. Regina King hasn't spoken again since her homage. Maybe she's shielding herself. Maybe she's waiting for the right instant. Or maybe she's keeping a piece of this puzzle the world hasn't uncovered yet. But make no error, the quiet around this case isn't the quiet of peace. It's the quiet of dread. Dread of what's in those files. Dread of what the truth would imply. Dread of the dominoes that could tumble if even one page saw the light of day. And if you think this is finished, think again, because the tide has a way of returning things back. Secrets, lies, corpses, truths, they all wash ashore eventually. And when Theopiles finally emerges, the world won't be prepared for what it discovers. The whispers didn't cease. They grew bolder, and the more the official account was pushed, the more the public started to notice the cracks. By week 3, the hashtag justice campaign had millions of views. People weren't just grieving anymore. They were investigating. Leaked screenshots from secret group chats claimed there was footage captured that day of shaky cell phone video showing Malcolm in the water with his daughter clinging to him before vanishing under a wave. Where's that video now? No one knows. One witness says their phone was seized by investigators on the beach, never returned. Another says they were told not to reveal anything for the sake of family privacy. Family privacy or shielding someone else entirely. 'Cause here's the thing about this case. Kate, the deeper you dig, the more the timeline feels fabricated. We know Malcolm was breathing when they pulled him out. We know there was a delay in medical help. We know his wife had attorneys moving faster than any grieving spouse should. And we know Theopiles existed. But the part no one anticipated, an anonymous email sent to a major journalist just last week. No name, no signature, just a link. Inside that link, a single, heavily watermarked PDF, its title, Theopiles, Part 1. It's not the complete folder, but it's enough to make your blood turn cold. The first page lists dates, names, meeting venues. The second, screenshots of emails between top-level entertainment executives talking about containment and damage. Control tied to an unnamed actor. One of the names in those emails belongs to someone who was on that very same beach the day Malcolm died. Coincidence? Not probable. By the time that PDF started circulating in hidden forums, the account that sent it was gone, erased, vanished. But it was too late. Once something lands on the internet, it never truly vanishes. And now the theory is evolving. This wasn't just about silencing Malcolm. This was about sending a warning to anyone who might consider speaking out next. The parallels to other mysterious celebrity deaths are impossible to overlook. Different names, different details, same outcome. And then the heartbreak reached a new height. Malcolm's daughter, just 8 years old, appeared in a brief silent video posted by a family friend. She sat on a couch clutching the same flower she gave her father in his final video. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The image alone shattered millions of hearts. That clip racked up 20 million views in 24 hours. Comments poured in. Her eyes say it all. She knows more than they'll ever let her express. This is not finished. And in the middle of this emotional storm, someone else came forward. a man who claimed to have worked as Malcolm's security detail in the past. He didn't reveal his full identity, but his voice was clear, steady, and deadly sincere. He said Malcolm had been worried that in the last months of his life he'd requested extra security, not for fans, but for other people, the kind of people who don't like being exposed. He claimed Malcolm told him, if something happens to me on a trip, it won't be an accident. The echoes of that same warning from the leaked email are impossible to overlook. So now the puzzle is almost complete, but one piece is still missing. The full Theo Piles folder. The partial leak is real, and if the rest exists, it could blow the lid off not just Malcolm's death, but decades of hidden crimes and buried scandals. And maybe that's why we're seeing the push to move on, to let the story fade, because the powerful fear no time kills outrage. They can make us forget, they win. But here's the thing, we're not forgetting. Every new post, every new thread, every share of his last smiling video with his daughter keeps this story alive. And that's the real power they dread. Not the files, not the headlines, but us. Because if enough of us demand answers, someone will eventually break. Someone will talk. Someone will confirm what we already feel in our gut, that this was not an accident. And when that day comes, the names in Theopiles will no longer be whispers. They'll be front-page news. Till then, we're left with the images burned into our minds. A flower in his hair, the smile that hid a storm. The little girl on the couch holding on to the last piece of her father, and the haunting truth that somewhere someone is sleeping easy tonight because they think they got away with it, but they didn't. Not really, because justice has a way of catching up. Sometimes slow, sometimes loud, but it comes. So here's where you come in. If you've watched this far, if you felt even a shred of the heartbreak, if you believe in truth, don't let this story fade. Share it. Comment justice for Malcolm below. Tell everyone you know about Theopiles. Because if they thought silencing one man would bury the truth, they were mistaken. The tide will shift. The files will emerge. And when they do, the world will finally understand what happened on that beach in Costa Rica. And maybe then, Malcolm Jamal Warner can rest not in silence but in peace. Don't scroll past this, because if you do, then they win. They want this story to disappear. They want Malcolm Jamal Warner to become just another headline. It's just another tragic accident we stopped talking about. But we know better. No better? A father is gone. A daughter is left with questions no child should have to face. A man's legacy is being rewritten by people who think they can bury the truth beneath money, lies, and silence. And unless we speak, unless you speak, the truth will drown with him. So here's what you can do right now. Type justice for Malcolm in the comments. Flood this space with his name. Let every single person scrolling past see it and wonder why. So many people refuse to forget. Share this video with everyone you know. Post it, message it, tag someone. Because every view, every comment, every share is another crack in the wall they've built to keep the truth locked away. Think about his daughter. Think about the flower she placed in his hair just hours before he was gone. Think about the files he died protecting, the piles, and the warning he left behind. If anything happens to me, no, it wasn't an accident. We can't bring Malcolm back, but we can make sure his story doesn't fade. We can make sure his name is remembered for what he stood for and for the truth they tried to erase. So don't. Be silent. Don't move on. Be part of the voice that's too loud to ignore. Justice for Malcolm. Justice for truth. Justice for every voice they tried to silence. This isn't over, and it won't be until the truth comes out.